one of the most important features of taking care of yourself, proper sleep, eating properly, taking breaks when it's needed. Children your age crave structure. That's what you want. You want to know what's happening. You want to know what's expected of you. You want to know what's good, know what's bad. Rubrics, grades. Sorry, y'all, the real world isn't like that. You don't always get defined rubrics. You don't always get nitty-gritty project details. When my boss assigns me to do something, he says, hey Shiva, do this job. I want it done. And that's it. Yes, my boss cares about me. But my entire rubric, my entire project description is do this and then it's done. Right? One of the most important features of those sorts of projects, I know that if I worked tooth and nail, to the bone, didn't eat, didn't sleep, just worked 24/7, I might turn out something that's good. Maybe. Maybe. I don't really work well when I'm sleep deprived. But let's say I spent a few hours on it, then I took a break, went home, saw my dog, right? Dogs make me happy. Ate, this food makes me happy, maybe a little bit too much. The project might be just as good. In fact, better. Because I could actually speak about it. What's important here is that whenever we try and care for ourselves, whenever we get these sorts of assignments, right? That's a big scary word. It's not. It shouldn't happen. Whenever that sort of work comes to us, our first responsibility is to care for ourselves. Because we don't work well whenever we don't care for ourselves. You all have had an incredibly diligent class work environment in here. I am so excited to see these mock trials. It's what you've been waiting on, what you've been working for, right? Here it is. If I stayed up an extra 2 hours last night, worked on my opening statement, it might be just a little bit better. It's not worth it. It's just not. Does that make sense? That being said, you all have been I cannot say it enough how incredible you all have been. I mean, just the concepts that you were able to grasp so quickly. Pretty good, if I say so myself. I mean, high-level legal terms. Don't model what a law school will look like. And think about where you will be whenever this class is over. Most law school, or most students in law school, never do this stuff. Most trial lawyers, whenever they start their first trial work, have never been in a courtroom before. And that's sad. They don't know how to speak in front of a judge. They don't know how to sit on a witness stand. They don't know how to argue objections outside of class. The skills that you all are honing right now, y'all, like, you're beating out law school students. Be proud of that. All right. That being said, it is time to swear in our jury. Yes. All right. Jury, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will truthfully listen to this case and render a true verdict and a fair sentence to this defendant?
I do.
You may be seated. You were supposed to stand.
Oh.
My bad. My bad. All right. Witnesses, stand. Raise your right hand. Do you all swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? You may be seated. All right. Time for jury instructions, I think. I really have this memorized. I've done this so many times. Okay. You all right? All right. Prosecution, I understand that we have some pretrial matters to attend to.
Okay. Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Kristen, and I'll be representing the state of Illinois. May I ask about your preferences and movement about the courtroom?
Yes, but before, can I be introduced to the rest of your counsel? Yes.
So
Please stand and introduce yourselves.
I'm Robbie Abby, and I'm a prosecuting attorney.
Good morning. Please stay standing.
I'm Nathan Riddick, and I am a prosecution attorney.
All right, may I get appearances from the defense attorneys?
Good morning, Your Honor. I'm Katie Obbins, and I will be the defense attorney. And I'm going to be counsel.
Benjamin Brown, I'll be the defense attorney.
Okay, is the defendant seated at your counsel today?
Yes, sir. He is right here.
Please stand and introduce yourself, sir.
My name is Alex Buckley, and I'm the defendant.
All right. Everyone except for the pretrial attorneys, you may be seated. Thank you. All right, Kristen, you were asking me a question. Thank you.
May I ask about your preferences and movement about the courtroom and introduce evidence?
Yeah, absolutely. So while you are delivering speeches, when you are talking directly to the members of the jury, you may have the entire well of the courtroom until the witness stand. Do not walk past the witness stand. Okay? When you are introducing evidence, always ask to approach the witness and the judge. You don't need permission to approach each other. All right? Sorry.
Do I know?
Yes.
Okay. At this time, I will go through 608, in which I will assume that the witnesses will constructively be sworn in.
All right. We shall assume. Is that it? All right.
Your Honor, I have one question. May we assume constructively that the jury is outside the courtroom during objective battles?
Constructively, yes. The jury can stay in the room during objection battles, but constructively, we'll assume that they are out. Yes.
And then I invoke Rule 6,
Which is?
which is constructive sequestration, that all the members of the jury and witnesses are outside the courtroom during objective battles and will hear each other's testimonies.
All right, great. Mr. Buckley, will you be present during your trial? Okay, stand when you address the judge, please. Okay, great. All right, any other pretrial matters to attend to? All right, I understand the prosecution is going to deliver an opening statement. Counsel, you have 5 minutes.
Okay. Good morning, Your Honor, opposing counsel, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Today we're here representing the state of Illinois upon the case of Alex Buckley. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Buckley dealt the cards he chose in his own hands. Friday, May 18th was the day of the final stance. Carly Walsh, a student at Prairie Lake Preparatory Academy, organized a study group that same night. All the students Carly invited had failed and went to the dance instead. Carly had a cast on her leg, so she could not go to the dance. So she decided to study with her best friend Dakota Pope, giving her company. The two girls studied for a few hours when Dakota noticed something. Seeping under the door was gasoline, and in just a few seconds, everything ignited. Dakota fortunately survived by jumping out of a window. Carly died that horrific night due to the fire that Alex Buckley started. Alex Buckley dealt the cards he chose in his own hands. Today, ladies and gentlemen, you will hear from our three witnesses. Our first witness, Dakota Pope. Dakota saw everything that happened during that day. Pope never thought that would be the last time she saw her best friend. Our second witness, Hayden Rodriguez, a counselor at Prairie Lake Academy. And today you're also going to hear from Division Chief Casey Burke, an expert witness for the prosecution. Casey Burke and his team found evidence that proved that Alex Buckley is guilty. Alex Buckley dealt the cards he chose in his own hands. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope by the end of this trial, after you've heard all the facts and seen all the evidence, you find Alex Buckley guilty. Thank you.
All right, thank you, counsel. Give us one moment, defense. Ms. Ahmed, I understand you delivered the opening statement?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you may proceed.
Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, may it please the court, Alex Buckley is innocent. He was simply at the wrong place at the wrong time. Let's check the time. It's early morning. Alex Buckley's on his way to class. He waves hello to Carly Walsh, May 18th, 2018. Little does he know that will be the last time he will ever get to see Carly Walsh, for he did not know what was going to happen that evening. Let's check the time again. It's 4:30 p.m. Alex Buckley is at work. He works a mile away from campus at a gas fill. He works hard to provide for his family and for his education, but that's not it. Let's check the time again. It's now 10:35 p.m. A boy by the name of Todd Larkin walks in. He goes up to the cash register and asks to buy a gallon of gas. Alex Buckley hands him a red loaner gas canister because Todd Larkin did not have one of his own. Todd Larkin pays in cash. During this, Alex Buckley notices, while passing the canister, that Todd Larkin has gloves on. But let's check the time one more time. It's 10:40. Alex Buckley just got out of work. His shift ends at 10:40. He clocked out. Now it's 10:45. 5 minutes into his walk home, he considers maybe going out to get a bite to eat. He worked hard that day. Or maybe going to the dance. He'd have 30 minutes left if he left. He just went. But no. He decides to go to the student union instead to buy a snack. On his way, he hears sirens and smells smoke, but doesn't think anything of it. He was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's 11:40 p.m. Alex gets taken into custody and arrested. He's driven back to the police station. Later that evening, he finds out he's been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of aggravated arson. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Alex Buckley is innocent, and we will prove that here today before you. We, as the defense, we do not have the burden of proof, meaning that we don't have to bring up witnesses. We don't have to cross-examine, but yet we are going to bring up 3 witnesses and cross-examine each of the defenses. One of the witnesses we will bring up is Alex Buckley himself. He will testify before you today and tell you he harbored no feelings of aggravation towards Carly Walsh, tell you the whole story, and to tell you that Todd Larkin was the one who did it. We also have another expert witness come up, Kennedy Felder, a former FBI agent and a criminal psychological profiler. She will come up here today and tell you that Alex Buckley does not fit the aggravated arsonist profile. In fact, Todd Larkin does. And we will have another witness, Alex's boss, Jordan Calvin. She will come up here today and tell you that Alex Buckley did, in fact, clock out at 10:40. Tell you that the security cameras were not working at the gas station. Tell you that someone did, in fact, buy 1 gallon of gas with cash. I tell you, in fact, that someone did take a red gas canister. I tell you that she trusts Alex. Because ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Alex Buckley is innocent. He was simply at the wrong place at the wrong time. Thank you.
All right. Is the state ready to call its first witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, we would like to call Hayden Rodriguez to the stand.
All right. Ms. Rodriguez, please take the stand. You understand you've been sworn in?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you please state your name to the court?
Wait, pause. All right. Counsel, you have 20 minutes to conduct all 3 direct examinations. Okay. Defense counsel, you have 20 minutes to conduct all 3 cross-examinations. Okay? You can budget your time however you see fit. You may proceed.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you please state your name to the court?
Hayden Rodriguez.
Your occupation?
I'm a counselor at Prairie Lake Preparatory.
Can you please state your relation to this case?
I was Alex Buckley's counselor.
Can you please tell us more about your job?
So I am randomly assigned students every year, and I take those students and I counsel them and I help them apply to colleges.
Okay. Can you please tell us how you help them apply to colleges?
I tell them certain scholarships they should sign up for. I lead them in the right direction of colleges they should apply to.
Okay. About how many students get to Prairie Lake each year?
About 400.
Okay. Can you please tell us about the scholarship you started?
I started a scholarship for socioeconomic diversity because we had a few complaints about diversity in Prairie Lake Prep. So I started that scholarship for the less wealthy end of the economic.
Can you please tell us how Alex Buckley got into Prairie Lake Academy?
He applied for the scholarship and I thought he would be a perfect person.
Okay. Can you please tell us some of the things that you had to do to enter the school?
What do you mean by that?
So like how did you choose who went to the school?
So I looked at their previous history, their current grades, and things like that.
Okay. How was Alex Buckley's interaction with the students at the school?
Usually it stayed pretty mediocre. You know, he never really did anything too bad.
Okay. Can you tell us some of the things Alex Buckley did in his freshman year?
There was an incident in his freshman year with Science Olympiad team. He was in 4th place and he was just shy of going up to the next level, and he got mad and kicked over another student's project, and when he did so, the project caught fire and it was too badly destroyed, and the 3rd place person had to drop out, and Alex Buckley went into the next competition.
Did you do anything about this incident?
Yes, I did. I assigned anger management. It's 1 day a week at my office.
Okay. How was the anger management he was taking?
He handled it very well at first.
Okay. Can you tell us how long he took it?
He took it for the rest of the term.
Okay. So, can you please tell us about some of the things you had to do to apply to colleges? And, wait, may I receive that question?
Absolutely.
Can you please tell us some of the things you have to do to get into colleges?
You have to ask for a teacher recommendation. You can ask through me, or you can ask the teacher in person, and you have to fill out an application form.
Okay. So in your affidavit, you stated that there is a scholarship named the witness. The Williamson. Can you please tell us about that?
The Williamson is a scholarship. It's a full ride scholarship for the student who has the highest GPA in their class.
Your Honor, 401 and 402 relevance. How is it relevant that the Williamson Award is relevant to the case of Alex Buckley killing a child?
Okay. Do you have a response to relevance?
Yes, I do. The Williamson is the whole reason why Alex Buckley killed Carly Walsh. Because Carly Walsh was only a few hundred points away from getting the Williamson.
Alright, okay. Objection overruled. You may continue.
Okay. So, can you please tell us, did Alex Buckley know about the Williamson?
Yes, he did.
Okay. How did he know about it?
He knew about it because I had told him about the Williamson. I told him it would be a good thing for him to look into with his high GPA.
Okay. What did Alex do to accomplish getting the Williamson?
He constantly kept good grades. He always studied. He was just a very good student in general.
Okay. How was Alex reacting whenever he came in with grades?
Well, he was very frustrated at first. He punched a wall and he fractured his wrist.
Can you please tell us why he did that?
I would say he just didn't know how to manage his anger at the time.
Okay. So did you do anything about that?
I tried to talk to him and schedule another appointment.
Okay. We have no further questions.
Alright. Thank you, counsel. Defense, would you like to examine the witness? Okay, procedural thing? Who's conducting the cross? Ben, you are? Okay. Only the attorney conducting the cross-examination may object. Okay. Alright?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Would you please state your name, your occupation,
Hayden Rodriguez. I'm the counselor at Prairie Lake Camp.
and what do you do as a guidance counselor?
I take the students if they have any emotional problems or they want to help to apply for scholarships or colleges, and I help them with that.
What is your relationship with the defendant?
He was a student at Prairie Lake Prep and he was assigned to me.
So, how did you help Alex Buckley in his years at Prairie Lake Prep?
I helped him work through his anger problems, and I helped him look into scholarships like that.
How was he acting towards and around Carly Walsh? Did you see any of that?
I've never seen him act up with Carly Walsh. She was never assigned to me, and so, but I have heard she's a very good student.
Do you know about his grades? Like, how academic was he?
He was a very well academic student. He always had very good grades, and for the first 2 years he was at Prairie Lake Prep, he was at the top of his class.
So, was there anyone else besides Carly Walsh that you know of that might have been like a contender, like for the valedictorian in the class?
Not that I can think of, other than Alex Buckley.
So, what did you have like any problems with him? Did you ever come to your office frustrated about anything?
There was an incident where he found out he was no longer at the top of the class and he punched a wall, and I told him he needed to come to my office.
So how did you help him deal with that?
I helped him, and we decided that he would come back to my office at a later time and we would talk about it again. And if he was interested, he would sign up for 3 other scholarships.
Alright, so did you have meetings regularly with him or only as needed?
As needed.
No further questions.
Alright, thank you, counsel. Is there any redirect on this witness?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. You may be excused. Thank you for your testimony. I understand the state has another witness to call. You can call the witness, don't question the witness yet, though.
We would like to call Dakota Phelps to stand.
you may proceed, counsel.
Will you please state your name? Please state your name.
I'm Dakota Pope.
How long did you know the victim?
I knew Carly Walsh since freshman year.
Was she well liked?
She was very well liked.
Was she popular?
Popular, but in a good way for her kindness.
Did Carly ever have any relationships when she was at Fairy Lake?
She did one, a bargain.
How close were those two?
They seemed pretty close within for the first 2 years. Alicia and I got games together.
How did they treat each other?
They treated each other good for the first 2 years, as I said, but they started to get worse.
Okay, now I'm gonna ask you some questions about Buckley. Did Carly ever talk about Buckley?
She never had anything negative to say about him, but she did tell me that he would say certain things.
Were Buckley and Carly close to each other?
They were not. They were on Science Olympiad team for a couple of years, but after Williamson started getting serious, things started to go apart.
Did you know Buckley very well?
I didn't know him very well. All I knew is that he was scholarship kid on Science Olympiad.
Did you ever hear Buckley talk about Carly?
I heard from Carly that whenever she tried to invite him to study groups, he would say, "Oh, well, if you're really that good, then you don't need my help." But I know that he did like nonverbal things like glare at her when he got those.
I'm gonna ask you a couple questions about the events of May 18th. What happened that day?
Me and Carly, it was the Prairie Lake dance where sort of like a prom, but even bigger because, and every senior would go because it was their last dance at the school. But Carly decided not to go because she had a cast and she said she might as well study. So we ended up going back to the dorm. We grabbed some drinks and stuff in the vending machine, and we started to get to work. At around 10:55, we started to get bored. She called me over to watch something on her computer when I smelled gasoline, and I thought I was just crazy until the room ignited. We tried calling for help, but my phone was dead and the sprinklers wouldn't come on, and I tried motioning her to jump out the window, but she pointed to her cast and said that she couldn't, so she told me to get her phone, get out and call for help. I jumped out and I landed really hard on my right leg and right wrist, but I couldn't move and I couldn't call anybody for help until I tried calling out, but I saw somebody rapidly walk by. They were wearing yellow shirt and dark pants, and they had the same hair color and the same height as Alex Buckley. Later on, two juniors, Anna and Dawn, walked over to help me escape.
So the outfit that Your Honor, may I please bring forward evidence?
You don't have to ask to approach opposing counsel, but ask me if you're going to approach the witness.
May I approach the witness?
Yes.
Is there anything that looks different with this outfit than the one that the person that you saw when you fell out the window was wearing?
Well, maybe the logo, I would see that, but it looks like what I saw.
Was the person holding anything?
He was holding a red gas container that I think was used to pour the liquid.
Yes.
May I please approach the witness?
Yes.
Does this look similar to what the perpetrator was carrying?
Yes, that looked like the red gas container.
No further questions.
Okay. You didn't enter them into evidence, so no. No, the jury can't see that document yet. It hasn't been
I think
entered
you
into
may take
evidence.
them back.
Yes, you can take them back.
Okay.
All right. Ross?
Good morning. Could you please state your name to the jury?
I'm Dakota Pope.
Alright. I was gonna ask you a few questions about what happened on May 18th. So, were you studying with Carly Walsh on May 18th, yes or no?
Yes.
Was Buckley ever rude to Carly Walsh? Did you see anything, yes or no?
Yes, I did.
Did Carly have a chance to jump out the window?
She did not.
Did anything prevent her from jumping?
Perhaps.
Do you know what started a fire, yes or no?
Yes, I think it was gasoline that I saw near the door.
Did you see someone in the building or outside of the building suspicious?
I didn't see it before, but after I jumped, I did.
You saw a gas and go uniform, correct? On the person?
I saw what looked like the gasoline uniform.
You recall seeing this, correct?
Yes, that looks a lot like what I saw.
Were you harmed in any way from the jump?
I was. I injured my right leg and right wrist.
No further questions, John.
All right, thank you. All right, counsel, just a clarification. Ask before you can begin examinations, just to make sure that our bailiff has enough time to switch around the cards. Get all the math done. All right, will there be a redirect on this witness?
No.
Okay, Ms. Pope, you are excused. Thank you for the testimony. State, do you have another witness you'd like to call?
Your Honor, I would like to call Casey Burke to the stand.
All right. Mr. Burke, you may take the stand. You may proceed.
Good morning.
Could you please state your name to the jury?
I'm Casey Burke.
What is your profession?
I'm the division chief for the criminal investigation division at the Lake City Police Department.
Thank you. So what kind of methods did you use for this case?
Interviews on fire tests on fire accelerants and fingerprint analysis.
Could you explain the fire accelerant analysis to me, please?
Well, we used two methods. We used passive headscapes, and we also mapped the room of where the fire was most charged, or where the room was most charged.
Could you further explain passive headscapes?
Well, we take samples off of the wall and put them in a airtight container and heat them up so the all the accelerants and chemicals go to the top of the headscape if we can detect what fuel was used.
So how precise is this method?
It can conduct up to 1,000th of a drop of accelerant.
So how did you apply this to the case?
Well, we found that the the gas used was standard 87 octane and had the same chemicals added to it, and had the same composition of around a few gas stations within a 2-mile radius of her area.
Thank you. Now I'm going to talk about the fingerprint analysis. So could you describe how the fingerprint analysis works?
Well, we map out ridges, irrigations, roots on that are left behind, and we match them with fingerprints. For us, 16 points of match are a match.
So what did you find from this?
Well, we had a 20-point match and a 17-point match, and we had one that like a partial thumbprint, and that was a 7-point match. All the Alex Buckley, and then we had a couple of smudges.
Thank you. So did you see the interviews Officer Nicholas Murray conducted?
Yeah.
So how did these interviews lead you to conclude that Buckley was guilty?
Well, Buckley was wearing the same clothes that Carly Walsh reported the person randomly being seen, and same height, same hair color.
Thank you. So are you familiar with Todd Larkin?
Yes.
So what is his relationship to Carly?
He was a former boyfriend of Carly Walsh.
Did you ever think that Larkin was a suspect?
We did, but he's not a viable suspect anymore because he was scheduled to move into a summer dorm, and he lives 4 hours away.
Thank you. No further questions.
All right, thank you. Defense cross-examination. You may proceed.
Good morning, Mr. Burke.
Good morning.
I'd like to ask a few questions about the procedures.
Alright.
You study a lot of material related to your field, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And you would agree that the procedures you've learned are the gold standard in your field.
Yes.
But you would also agree that these procedures don't always work, correct? Or, not how to rephrase that, aren't always accurate.
Well, they're pretty accurate.
But you would agree with me that that sometimes they don't always give you the answers that you want.
Sometimes. Very unlikely.
Okay. Moving on to some questions about fingerprinting. You use the dusting method, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, approaching the witness.
Okay.
Could you
Has
please
opposing counsel seen that? Okay.
could you please identify that for me?
2 circles show full prints that match Alex Buckley. The triangle is a partial print, so we can only find a 7-point match. That's the triangle.
Witness, the document hasn't been entered into evidence. She only asked you to identify
Oh.
what that was.
Yes, yes.
So tell the court what that is.
It's container showing fingerprints of where we found fingerprints on the gas container.
Now, has that document looked changed from the last time you've seen it?
Nope.
And you would identify that as?
What did you say?
And could you please identify that once more what that is?
It shows where fingerprints were found.
What
on
is the
gas
object,
container.
sir?
Gas container.
Your Honor, may I move this into evidence?
All right. Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Can we get the rec? Yes.
No, Your Honor.
So admitted. made public to the jury.
Now, could you please tell me what you found on that gas container?
Well, the two circles show where we have matches to Alex Buckley, and triangle is like only a partial print, so we could only find 7-point match, so it wasn't a full match to Alex Buckley. And the star, we couldn't find any matches.
And you found one unidentifiable fingerprint on that gas canister, correct?
Correct.
You also found a few unidentifiable smudges, correct?
Correct.
Which means you have no proof that someone else could have touched the gas canister, correct?
Correct.
Now about the suspects. Alex Buckley had named another suspect in the case, correct?
Yes.
And that suspect was named Todd Larkin, correct? I'd like to ask some questions about Todd Larkin. You found some threatening messages he had sent to Carly, correct?
Yes.
Our approaching witness.
Yes.
Could you please identify what those are?
These are screenshots of texts sent from Todd Larkin, between Todd Larkin and Carly Walsh.
No. You would agree with me that those texts are in fact quite threatening, correct?
Yes.
And you would agree with me that in Exhibit 9, Todd Larkin, while texting, sounds like he is under the influence of something.
Counsel, the document hasn't been entered into evidence, so we can't testify to the specifics of the document.
Sorry, Your Honor. May I enter evidence?
Okay, has the witness established familiarity?
Now, you would agree with me that those do not look changed in any way, shape, or form from the last time you've seen them?
No.
And you would agree with me that those, and you would please identify them one more time?
These are screenshots of texts sent between Todd Larkin and Carly Walsh.
Your Honor, may I now move the exhibits 9 and 10 into evidence?
All right, any objections? No objection? Okay. So admitted? All right.
Now, do you agree with me that in Exhibit 9, Todd Larkin appears to be under the influence of alcohol, correct? Will you read the texts in Exhibit 9?
I don't think we can make any reasonable assumptions.
That is fair. But you are aware that Todd Larkin does have a DUI and is correct?
Correct.
Which means that he has been caught under the influence of alcohol. Correct? Which means that you would agree with me that Todd Larkin isn't always law-abiding.
No.
Now, may I go back to that gas canister? Mr. Burke, you would agree with me that it is wrong to just convict someone over the fact of just a couple fingerprints with no visible proof and no evidence, correct?
Correct. That's what we did.
Sir, you would agree with me that we're on trial today for Alex Buckley. But sir, you only ever found fingerprints on that gas canister, correct?
Correct.
You never
Yes.
found evidence, visual evidence, correct?
We have an eyewitness saying that he dropped the gas canister and wearing the same passenger uniform.
Okay, sir. I'd like to ask you a couple questions about the scene of the crime. Sir, you were not at the scene of the crime, correct?
No.
Meaning you got the information from someone else, correct?
Correct.
Meaning you never asked any of the witnesses that were there yourself that they had seen what they had saw, correct?
Correct.
Meaning that you have no idea that the information recorded is accurate?
Correct.
Alright. So you're telling me that since you were not there at the scene of the crime, you were not there to ask the witnesses yourself about any information, that you were going off someone else's word, that you can believe that?
I trust my pops.
Yes, sir. I agree with that completely. But your cops are human beings, correct?
Correct.
And not all human beings are completely accurate, correct?
Correct.
Meaning that you have no idea if the information is, in fact, correct.
And very reliable.
You're not allowed to.
Alright. State, is there a redirect on this witness? No, Your Honor. Okay. Okay, yeah, you can grab that one. Perfect. Mr. Burke, you are excused with the court's notice. Alright. State, do you have any more witnesses? Alright. So you rest your case in chief. Let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break.
Can you turn on the air conditioning?
Turn it down.
Or can you set it off? Yeah, turn it off. Can you turn it off? Oh, I can.
Yeah.
It's really loud.
You hit the off button? Alright, we're on recess, so if you want to take a break, not go outside, but if you want to go use the bathroom, get some water, stuff like that, yes. Make sure you grab your lanyards if you're gonna leave the room. Hello.
I have a question.
What's up?
Who decides who wins?
We have the other Hey Max, you out there? Alright. Good question.
Sir.
Thank you. This is Alex.
I have to block the logo. Or, and as part of my costume. No.
What's up, buddy? What? You just had to work on it. We're on recess.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just missed the prosecution case in chief.
He came at the worst time. Like just the worst time. What are you talking about? That's the best. The RC came in when we were doing the worst question because the FBI.
Yeah, what do you not do?
It's so loud. I couldn't hear anything that they were saying.
Okay. What? 0. All right, children. They're in courts. In court sometimes. I tried a case whenever there was a march outside of state capitol of Raleigh. Still had to try my case. Unfortunately, environmental circumstances happen.
Could you tell the lady in the office though?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Her name's Wendy.
She's nice.
Sometimes environmental circumstances happen. We have to adapt to them. All right, you've got about 2 more minutes. Yes.
It's over. It's a celebration.
It starts back in
It's over. Zach fixed it. And Kate.
Alright, let's talk trial. Woo! Should have run my thumb finger.
Alright.
Oh, there's another one missing.
Alright, the court will reconvene. Defense, I understand you're putting on a case.
We call him Kennedy Felder.
Alright, Ms. Felder, please hobble up to the stand. Okay. Somebody help her. Somebody help her.
I can win. Whoa.
Alright. Ms. Felder, you understand that you've been sworn?
Yep.
Alright. You may proceed.
Good morning. Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
I'm Kennedy Felder.
What is your occupation?
I'm a criminal psychological profiler.
What do you do as a criminal psychology profiler?
Pretty much, I take the circumstances of this case and past case and use the details to come up with a profile for the perpetrator. And then I take the suspects that the officers have given me and I see what suspect fits best with that profile.
What is your role in the Alex Buckley versus people at Illinois case?
Well, the defense asked me to profile our perpetrator, and I had came to the conclusion that it was not Alex Buckley. It was in fact Todd Larkin.
So, could you please elaborate on how you came to the conclusion that Buckley did not fit the revenge arsonist profile?
Well, a revenge arsonist is someone who is filled with hatred and someone who wants to hurt someone. There are certain types of arsonists. There's some types of arsonists that just want to burn down a building, but they don't want to hurt people. But a revenge arsonist is trying to locate one victim and kill them with fire. And Todd Larkin, or actually most revenge arsonists have a very low IQ. They leave evidence of what they've done. Yeah, pretty much. They have like a connection or like a hatred towards the victim, and even if they have multiple victims, they probably that first victim will have connections with those other victims. And Todd Larkin was Carly Walsh's ex-boyfriend. He had sent threatening messages to her, which I saw, and he had a hatred toward Carly, and it is proven that like Todd Larkin is not the brightest of students. He had failing grades and he was barely passing. He would have to take summer classes in order to have a passing grade. And he fit better than Alex Buckley, because Alex Buckley was, again, almost getting the Williamson Award. And it wasn't really he didn't really have much of a hatred towards Carly, more of just a competition towards her.
So could you elaborate on how you determine that Todd Larkin fit the revenge arsonist profile?
Well, Todd Larkin had could you elaborate on that question?
You said Buckley didn't fit, but Todd Larkin fit the revenge arsonist profile more. How is that?
Well, there are, as I stated earlier, there are types of arsonists, and if Buckley didn't really seem like the kind of person that would want to hurt other people, Todd did. I mean, like, there was like, from what I've heard, Carly Walsh had bruises from Todd Larkin being very to her, just being very rude and disrespectful towards her. So he did have a history of being reckless, and he even had a DUI from drinking and driving, so he had his license revoked, and he just had a history of being reckless.
So how did you determine what type of arson it was? No, it's a revenge arson, so how did you determine that?
As I stated earlier,
A revenge arsonist is someone who's looking for a victim, who's wanting to harm that victim some way, somehow, some form.
Rule 704, opinion on the ultimate issue. It says that in a criminal case, expert witnesses must not state an opinion about the trial.
That's not quite what Rule 704 is, but the objection is made. Ben, do you have a response? No response? Okay, so on that, with no response, the testimony on opinions on the ultimate issue is sustained. Witness, you were instructed not to discuss whether or not somebody actually perpetrated the crime, or whether or not somebody had the mindset to perpetrate the crime.
Okay.
Alright, the objection sustained, the testimony, jury, you will disregard any issues on the ultimate issue and only take the witness testimony for what it's worth. Alright, you may proceed.
So, do you notice revenge arsonists set a pattern? Do you notice any of that?
Well, a revenge arsonist will most likely try to target a place where they want their victim to be, mostly. So, like if someone's trying to kill someone in their home, they're not going to target their school, they're going to target their home.
Alright, so what actions would a revenge arsonist take after setting a fire?
Well, as I stated earlier, a revenge arsonist would probably not be the brightest bulb in the pack, and so they might leave evidence suggesting that they are the revenge arsonist, like how the gas can was left, or the accelerant. You can see like what accelerant they used and things like that.
No further questions, John.
Alright, thank you. Give me 1 second, before you begin your cross. Alright, cross-examination. You may proceed.
Good morning, ma'am.
Morning.
I'm gonna ask you some questions about the case.
Okay.
Okay. So you're being paid $500 an hour to work on this case. Is this correct?
Yes.
And you'll also earn an additional $5,000 if you testify. This is true?
Yes.
Okay. Let's get started. So in your statement, you said that revenge arsonists usually have a low IQ. Is this correct?
Yes.
And you're saying because of this, Todd may be guilty of this crime. Is this correct?
Yes.
But there could be exceptions to this, correct?
Maybe. Yes.
So may I approach the witness?
Absolutely.
Is this familiar to you?
Yes. Yes.
Are there any alternations made from the last time you saw this?
Nope.
What do you see here?
It's the gas can that was left at the crime, or the crime scene here.
So here you can clearly see that 3 out of the 4 fingerprints on the gas canister are either fully or partially a match to Alex Buckley. This is correct.
Yes.
And the other fingerprint was not a match to Todd Larkin whatsoever, correct?
I don't know. I'm not a fingerprint analysis.
Yes or no? It says so on that.
I don't know.
So, may I?
Yes.
So Larkin was presumed to move into a summer dorm at the time of the incident. Is this true?
Yes.
So you're saying that instead of moving in, he went to the dormitory, correct?
Yes.
So you're assuming that Larkin drove all the way here just to commit this act of arson. Is this correct?
Yes.
But you don't have evidence to show that Todd Larkin was at Prairie Lake on May 18th, correct?
I don't understand. Could you elaborate?
So there is no evidence that proves that Todd Larkin was at the scene at Prairie Lake on May 18th. Is this correct?
I don't know.
Yes or no?
I don't know.
So you saw that there was a dark SUV on the scene, correct?
Yes.
And you're assuming that this SUV was Todd's. Is this correct?
Yes.
But you don't have proof that the SUV was indeed Todd Larkin's, correct?
No.
So in your statement, you said that the only record of Buckley's violent act was nearly 4 years ago, correct?
Yes.
So you don't think Buckley's recent behavior towards Carly could have been considered as violent, correct?
No.
So in your statement, you said that you read Dakota Pope's affidavit. Is this correct?
Yes.
And in Pope's affidavit, it states that when Carly beat Alex in getting to Williamson, he glared at Carly and kicked over a chair, correct?
Yes.
And Pope's affidavit also stated Alex would scowl angrily at Carly when she was looking the other way, correct?
Yes.
And it also stated Alex punched the wall out of frustration from Carly getting better grades, correct?
Yes.
So you heard of Alex Buckley doing all these acts,
Yes.
but you still don't consider this violent?
Just because he was violent doesn't mean he committed a murder.
Yes or no?
Yes.
No further questions.
Okay, thank you.
And
Any redirect on this witness? Counsel? Counsel, any redirect on this witness?
No.
All right, stand when you address the judge, please.
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Feller, you are excused with the court, thanks. All right, defendants, do you have more witnesses to call?
Your Honor, I would like to call the defendant, Alex Buckley, to the stand.
All right, absolutely. Mr. Buckley, you've been sworn in.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, may I proceed?
Nope. All right, you may proceed, counsel.
Good morning. Could you please state your name for the jury?
My name's Alex Buckley.
And could you please tell the jury why you're here today?
I was being accused of murdering Carly Walsh.
All right. Now, if you don't mind, could I just ask a couple questions about your home life? So, what's your parents' situation like, Alex?
Oh, I have a single mother taking care of me and my brother.
And if you don't mind me asking, could I ask your socioeconomic status?
Oh, I would say my family is not too blessed, but so in order to help out in my family, I work at this gas station sometimes.
Now, if you don't mind me asking, can I ask you a couple questions of how you got into Prairie Lake Preparatory School? So how exactly did you get in?
Oh, Prairie Lake, they were offering the scholarship to help low-income families, and so their children can go to Prairie Lake, and that's how I got in.
And did you tend to do any after-school activities?
Oh, yes. Sometimes I was doing club. Sorry.
That's fine.
I was in cross country. I joined some clubs, and sometimes I go to this study group hosted by my classmates.
Now, did anyone help you when you first got into Prairie Lake?
Oh, yes, that would be my advisor, Hayden Rodriguez. When I first went to Prairie Lake, I didn't fit in, and my advisor helped me a lot.
That must have been hard. Could I ask you about some questions? Some Carly Walsh questions?
Okay.
Now, how did you know Carly?
Oh, I knew her from one time that I went to her study group session thing.
Did you share any classes with her?
Yes, I shared some classes. We all had AP classes.
And how did Carly treat you?
Oh, she's a really nice person. Like I said before, she hosted study groups for students that needed help with their classes. But after she got higher grades than I did, and after she was closer to me to getting to Williamson, she started acting a bit rude to me, like calling me names, making fun of me, calling me a sore loser.
Now, can I ask you a couple questions about your job? So, where do you work?
Oh, I work at this gas station called Gas and Go.
About how far away is that from campus?
Oh, it's about a mile away, I would say.
Is your job hard?
I mean, it does require hard work, but it's not really that bad.
Did you ever study for classes outside of
Oh, yeah, sometimes when there's no customers around, I do my works and study in the gas station.
And now can I ask you a couple questions about the Williamson? Since you mentioned the Williamson, could you give a little background on what that is?
Oh, it's basically this full ride scholarship that could let you choose to go to any college you want. So I'm trying to get it because my family couldn't afford to pay for me to go to the college I wanted to go to.
How did your counselor help with this?
Oh, he helped me fill out applications, and he helped me to sign up for AP classes so I can get better grades.
Did you have an established electronic communication with them?
Oh, yes. Sometimes we have meetings and sometimes we email each other a lot.
Approaching witness?
Yes, you may.
Now, could you tell me what that is?
Oh, this is the email I sent to my advisor, and the emails he sent. They sent to me.
And does it look any changed from the last time you saw it?
Oh, sorry, my car.
That's fine.
Not really.
So it would look the same as the last time you saw it, correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would like to move Exhibit 11 into evidence.
Any objections?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so admitted. You may publish to the jury.
So, Alex, could you please tell me about the email that was sent on the 17th? May.
The email I sent to my...
Yes. Could you give us some clarification on that?
Oh, okay. So basically I was just saying that because Carly Walsh was sometimes making fun of me, she was getting me really stressed and distracted from my academics. So basically I was just saying that I will study harder and I will try to work and get the bonus of myself.
Okay, and now could you tell me about the night of the incident?
Oh, okay.
Just retell.
So basically it was like a normal day. I had school, and then at about 4:30 I went to my shift to the Gas and Go, and there was no customers, so I just cleaned up the place until about 10:30-ish. That's when my shift ends, and that's when Todd Larkin came in, and so he came in and asked and asked for a gallon of gasoline, which I find a bit odd because it's such a small amount, but I didn't question anything. So I got a red gas canister that our gas station provides for customers that might need them, and filled it with a gallon of gasoline. And I handed it to Todd Larkin, and when he was grabbing the gas canister, I noticed that he was wearing gloves, which I also find, I guess, just a bit weird since it's the middle of May. But I just didn't ask anything, and then he left. So, and that's about the time when my shift ended, so I was leaving. I told my boss, Jordan Calvin, I left, and then I was thinking of going to a fast food place or going to the dance, but it was getting late, so I decided to just go to the student union to get a snack. And then I went to the student union, and then I got a snack there, and then when I was about to go back to my dorm, the robbers dorm, I smelled smoke coming from the Lincoln dorm, and I didn't really think much of it. Maybe they were just having like a barbecue party or something. So also it was very late at night, and I'm tired from work, so I decided to just go to my dorm. And then that's when the police officers came and then handcuffed me.
Your Honor, question, please.
Alright,
And Your Honor, that'll be all.
alright, thank you. Just 1 second, Faith, before you conduct your cross. Go ahead.
Your Honor, may I please start my cross-examination about will you please state your name to the jury?
My name's Alex Buckley.
You would say you worked for your grades, correct?
Yes.
And you got into Prairie Lake solely for your abilities, correct?
Yeah.
You feel like some students squandered the ability to be able to go to Prairie Lake, correct?
Yes.
You had the highest GPA until junior year, correct?
Yeah.
You know who it was that had a higher GPA than you after junior year, correct? Did you know them personally?
I mean, I know them. I mean, I wouldn't say we're friends or anything. I guess she's in most of my classes.
And who was it that was ahead of you?
That was Carly Walsh.
Okay, you worked at the local gas and go, correct? Okay, now I'm gonna ask you a couple questions about, your job. You worked on the night of May 18th, correct? Someone came in late that night, correct? They bought a singular gallon of gasoline, correct?
Yes.
You ended up handing them a loaner can of gas, correct?
Yes.
Did you not think that it would be necessary to watch them as they filled up the gas?
I was there.
Your Honor, objection 401 and 402, relevance. How is it relevant that Alex Buckley needed to watch the person fill up the gas canister?
Alright, why is this relevant?
Your Honor, it was relevant because if Buckley was to watch whoever it was filling, that was to fill up the gas canister, if it was, okay, thank you, sir. If Buckley was to have watched and
Breathe.
yeah. Okay.
why it's relevant
Yeah.
that Buckley watched
Yeah.
or didn't watch.
Well, it is relevant that Buckley did not watch whoever filled up the gas canister because it does not seem like the wisest idea to let someone that you don't know handle such a like flammable and dangerous object without supervision.
Okay. Counsel, why is this irrelevant?
Your Honor, it's irrelevant because this person would have been at least a working person and would have had education at this point. They would have also been able to drive, meaning that they would have at least been old enough to understand the dangers of that substance, and also the fact of they were not a 3-year-old child. They were most likely somewhere in their teens, if not older than that, meaning that they would have understood the dangers of gasoline and understood the fact of what gasoline is. Also understanding the fact of that this person might have just needed gasoline for their car. They wouldn't have, there's no reason to suspect that they would have been doing it for some suspicious reason.
All right, all of these sound like great arguments that you can bring up in closing statements. I am not going to express an opinion on the veracity of this witness watching or not watching somebody fill up a canister of gasoline, but I don't believe it rises to the level of it being irrelevant evidence. So the objection's overruled.
Okay, now I'm gonna ask you a couple questions about when you left. Oh, did you run cross country?
Yes.
And you would say you performed very well, correct?
I wouldn't say that.
Do you feel like you performed above average?
I mean, I've gotten better over the years.
Your dorm is 15 to 20 minutes away from your place of work, correct?
Yes.
You left work at 10:45, correct?
About 10:45.
And you were arrested at 11:40, correct?
Yes.
Are you saying that it took you almost an hour to get somewhere that you said normally would take you no more than 15 to 20 minutes?
No.
No further questions?
Okay. Is there any redirect on this agenda?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Buckley, you are excused with court's thanks. You can return to council table.
Your Honor, I would like to call Jordan Calvin to the stand.
All right, Jordan Calvin, you can take the stand. Do not begin the direct yet.
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Good morning. Could you please state your name for the jury?
My name is Jordan Calvin.
And Jordan, could you please state why you're here?
I am the manager of Gas and Go, and Alex Buckley is my employee.
Now, Ms. Calvin, I would like to ask you a couple questions about the Gas and Go. So how did you get into this business?
Well, when my parents immigrated here, they started out with nothing, and over the course of a few years, they opened up 40 gas stations across 5 states.
And may I ask a couple questions about why you hired Alex Buckley?
Of course.
So when you first saw Alex Buckley's application, what came to mind?
I thought he was brilliant. He wrote very intelligently, and he seemed very confident that he could do the job.
After you hired Alex Buckley, what did you notice about his work ethic?
He was incredibly nice to the employees and to the customers. He was always eager to learn about everything that he could.
Since he worked so hard, did he excel in his job?
Yes, I would say he did.
Did you ever end up promoting him?
Yes, I believe I promoted him around a year ago.
And what was that job promotion to? Would you like me to rephrase that?
Yes, please.
When you ended up promoting him, what job would he assume the role of?
So do you have any idea what he would be doing with that job?
Yes, he'd be working at the cash register most of the time.
And have you ever noticed that he would study outside of class?
Occasionally when I noticed that he would stand behind the counter with a book when there were few to no customers.
And now a couple questions about the night of May 18th. Were the cameras working at the establishment that night?
No, they've been broken. I was on the phone with the security company actually most of the night, trying to see if they could come and fix them.
And how long had the cameras been out by then?
A day or two, I believe.
And when you left, what time did you leave?
I left around 6:30 in the morning, actually.
And what did you notice around that time?
There was smoke in the air. It seemed kind of foggy almost. It smelled like burning wood.
Did you notice anything as you left the gas station?
Smoke coming from the school campus.
Sorry, may I rephrase that? Did you notice any objects missing?
Oh, yes, there was one of the red gas canisters that we give to customers when they don't have their own missing from behind the desk.
And did you notice any receipts?
Yes, there was actually a receipt for a gallon of gas, which I assume went into the gas container.
That'll be all.
Cross-examination?
Good morning. Can you please state your name to the jury?
My name is Jordan Kaufman.
Are you the regional manager of the gas and go?
Yes.
Why were you there?
Could you please restate the question?
Like, what were you doing? Because usually you're not the manager at that gas and go station.
The manager was on maternity leave for 2 months.
Okay. You met Alex Buckley during that time, correct?
Yes, I waved to him as I entered the building.
Okay. Please state to the court the time you arrived at the gas and go on May 18th.
I believe that I arrived at 10:30.
What are some of the jobs you do as a regional manager?
I go around to the gas station
Your Honor,
area.
401 and 402 relevance. How is it relevant what the regional manager does in his job?
Yeah, okay, response?
Your Honor, it's relevant because, Your Honor, it's relevant because if I know what the regional manager is supposed to do, I can understand what the, may I rephrase that, please?
Your response or the question?
Response.
Okay, go ahead.
If I know what the regional manager does, I could be able to know why the security cameras weren't working.
Okay, counsel, let me ask you, why does it matter whether or not you know what this witness does?
Because if I know that what the witness does, I can know why the cameras weren't working that day.
Okay, I will give you one more response.
Your Honor, my response is, how exactly does it matter that the security cameras weren't working? That is not the regional manager's job to repair them, that would be the security companies, correct? So meaning that the regional manager does not, in fact, have to work on that stuff, means also the fact of, that with that, the only job that they would ever have to do is contact the security company, correct? Meaning that it doesn't matter what the regional manager's job is, if it is relevant to security cameras, that would be a security company.
Okay, I will give you one more response.
Okay. As a regional manager, you're supposed to make sure that everything operates efficiently. So if I knew why the security cameras weren't working, we wouldn't be here today if they were actually working. So.
All right. So just because your testimony is confusing doesn't mean it's irrelevant. So with that limiting scope as to what this witness does in particular scope of the security cameras, because that's what's at issue, I will allow this testimony. So the objection's overruled.
May I continue?
Yes.
Okay. Was anyone aware other than you that the security cameras weren't working?
Yes, the employees were.
Was Alex Buckley one of the employees that was aware?
Yes, all of the employees at the building were.
Okay. How busy was your store on the night of May 18th?
I'm not quite sure. Alex Buckley would be able to tell you because I was up in the back on the phone with the security company.
Were there any purchases that night that you know of?
I found 1 or 2 receipts.
Okay. Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes, but show opposing counsel first.
Honor, may I approach the witness? Is this the receipt that you saw?
Yes.
And when on the receipt does that say it was purchased?
Could you repeat the question?
Where on the receipt does it say it's purchased?
Counsel, the document hasn't been entered into evidence. No specifics as to what the document says is allowed at this time.
Sorry. Your Honor, please may I enter that into evidence?
Okay, any objections to the receipt being entered into evidence?
No.
Okay.
Can you please?
So entered.
Can you please tell us the time that was on the receipt?
10:34 p.m.
Okay. Thank you. May I proceed to?
Yes.
Are you aware that regular grade gasoline was poured under Carly's door?
No.
Okay. Well, your station was the only station that sold gasoline during that time period from 9 to 11 p.m. So therefore, that was the only gasoline that was bought. Is that correct?
Yes.
May I approach the witness?
Yes.
Can you please tell me what that is?
This is one of the red gas canisters that we hold on the counter.
Did you see that there the night of the fire? When you were working?
Could you please repeat the question?
Did you see that there on the night of the fire when you were working?
Yes, I saw 3 of them. We were 4.
Okay. Did you know that gasoline container was found at the crime scene?
No, I did not.
Okay. How did you react when the police told you that Alex Buckley had been taken into custody?
Your Honor, objection 401 and 402, relevance. How is it relevant how Jordan Calvin felt when Alex was taken into custody?
Okay, talk to me, not opposing counsel.
Sorry.
Okay, yes, I am failing to see the relevance here unless you can tell me what it is.
I have no response.
Okay, on those grounds, the objection is sustained.
Your Honor, I have no questions.
All right, thank you. Defense, is there a redirect on this witness? All right, has the jury already got these exhibits?
Yes.
Yes, okay, then you can approach.
Thank you.
Okay, proceed to the end of your table. All right, sorry, defense, you said the redirect?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Calvin, you are excused with the court's thanks. Defense, are there any more witnesses that you would like to call?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so with that, the defense closes their case in chief. Okay, we will take a 5-minute break before closing arguments. Yeah.
The thing is, if someone objects you, it doesn't matter. As long as you have a response, that's the only thing. But for the relevance one, that was really good. So I think it's a lot. Okay, now I have to say the rest of the stuff. Yeah, so the one thing that we should all try to do better is that we should all stuff to do. We all have to be confident in saying, like you know, other kids like that you're talking about, like yeah, and also body language, like you just have to do that. So yeah, the last thing you guys will say.
Very quickly. Grab your letter before you go. Is that everyone? Alright, can you close the door, please? No. Can you close the door? Thank you. The court will reconvene. The jury is back in the room. Members of the jury, I now have instructions for you. Both the prosecution and the defense have rested their cases. The attorneys will now present their final arguments. Please remember, any evidence or any statements made by the attorneys is not evidence. However, do listen closely. These closing arguments are intended to aid you in understanding the evidence. Prosecution, do you have a closing argument?
Yes, sir.
All right, you have 7 minutes, counsel. You may proceed.
Your Honors, ladies and gentlemen of the jury and opposing counsel, may I please the court. Alex Buckley on May 18th, 2018 set the Lincoln dorm ablaze with Carly Walsh inside. Buckley knew Carly Walsh was inside. Buckley dealt the cards leading to the death of Carly and what he would have believed would have been him getting a scholarship that would have changed his life. Buckley chose his own hand in the hopes that his life would have changed with a scholarship that was awarded to the student with the highest GPA. He was threatened by Carly due to her being a 100th of a point ahead of him. Being threatened, Alex Buckley gave Carly the cards that eventually led to her untimely death. Members of the jury, as prosecution, we are burdened with proving that Alex Buckley is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. We find Alex Buckley guilty of arson and 2 counts of first-degree murder beyond a reasonable doubt. This is for a multitude of reasons. For instance, Buckley has a motive. The motive being ensuring that the Williamson Scholarship was never going to go to Carly. Buckley also had a means of committing the arson. He was alone at the gas station besides the owner of the gas station. He could have easily acquired the gasoline, and he was near the dorms. He could have obtained something to ignite the gasoline. Buckley also fixed a description that Dakota Pope said the perpetrator wore what was similar to Buckley's work uniform, and his height and hair color matched the perpetrator according to Dakota Pope. Dakota also claimed Buckley was carrying a red gas can. This is proven by Exhibit 5, which is the gas canister with Buckley's prints. One thing Buckley does not have is a viable alibi. Buckley states that he left work at 10:45. Buckley stated that it takes him 15 to 20 minutes to reach his dorm, which is further from the gas station than the student union and the Lincoln dorms. He claimed he was arrested at 11:40 at the Lincoln dorms. Would it really take a cross-country runner almost an hour to go somewhere that is a closer distance than somewhere that would take him 15 to 20 minutes? Members of the jury, it just doesn't add up. Casey Burke, our forensic expert who has been studying and working in that field since 1995. Casey conducted tests that proved Buckley's prints were on the gas can, the type of gas used, the amount of gas used, and how fast the fire spread. Buckley was the dealer of the cards of his and Carly's fate. The cards dealt led to Carly's death and the evidence to prosecute Alex Buckley. Opposing counsel, when they are to go up, are going to try to shift the blame on Todd Larkin. This is due to Exhibits 9 and 10, which are texts from Todd and Carly. And in Buckley's testimony, he said that someone who he believed was Todd came into the gas station wearing gloves when Buckley supposedly handed him the can of gas. Members of the jury, Todd was ruled out as a suspect due to his license being revoked for 6 months and his place of residence being 4 hours away from Prairie Lake. Members of the jury, Buckley thought he dealt his cards and Carly's in his favor, but he dealt too many cards, which led to him being the only possible perpetrator beyond a reasonable doubt. Members of the jury, Alex Buckley is guilty of Carly Walsh's murder of May 18th, 2018. He is found guilty of arson and 2 charges of first-degree murder. That is all.
Alright, thank you, counsel. You have 3 minutes for your rebuttal. Alright. Defense, are you prepared for the closing argument? Alright. You may proceed, counsel.
Good morning, Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, opposing counsel. May it please the court. Today, we are in court to prove that Alex Buckley is completely innocent. Remember that we as the defense did not have the burden of proof to send a witness up to the stand, but we sent 3 people to prove that the defendant is innocent. From the information given from the prosecution's witnesses and the defense's witnesses, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the time has come to make a decision. Earlier, you all heard the defendant state he clocked out of work at between 10:40 p.m. and 10:45 p.m. and then stopped by the student union to grab a snack from the vending machines. You also heard him state that he was headed to his dormitory, which was Roberts Hall, right after leaving the student union. Now tell me this, if the fire started at 10:55 according to eyewitness Dakota Pope, and if Alex left the union shortly after 10:45 and Carly was in Lincoln door, tell me this, how can someone walk from the union all the way to Lincoln in 10 minutes with 1 heavy gallon of gasoline? Now the Williamson, this is an award given to the valedictorian of every class, and Alex Buckley was a contender of that. But Carly passed him on the class rankings, and all of a sudden, that is the reason for Alex to kill Carly? No, no one would go that far for an award and just a scholarship. Alex Buckley was unfairly arrested and convicted of aggravated arson and first-degree murder. Where is the prosecution's proof that the defendant set 1 gallon of gasoline on fire outside 321 Lincoln Dormitory? Dakota Pope said that after she jumped out the window, she saw someone rapidly walking away from the door. That means nothing. Just because Dakota Pope saw that the person was wearing a yellow and black gas and go uniform and was holding a red gasoline container means nothing. Just because a person Dakota saw looked like Alex Buckley in terms of hair color means nothing. Remember this, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Dakota did jump from 3 stories above the ground. You never know, she might have saw a hallucination. You might remember that Alex Buckley sold 1 gallon of gasoline to Todd Larkin at 10:35 p.m. on May 18th. He might have been walking around the campus, might have saw a gasoline canister, picked it up probably with the intent to turn it to gas and go. And what about Hayden Rodriguez? After one of his meetings with the defendant, Hayden supposedly heard Alex mumble something about mentioning Carly. Is that the only reason he testified? He had no accurate knowledge of what happened on May 18th. He's only going based off what he heard. Casey Burke's fingerprint analysis determined fingerprints on the gasoline container belonging to the defendant, but that doesn't determine whether or not Alex Buckley set the fire. But he did have to pick it up to give it to Todd Larkin where he could fill it up outside. Casey even states in her report that the timeline makes it a little bit difficult for Buckley to reach the scene in time of the fire if his job's at least 1 mile away from the school. Besides, Buckley doesn't own a car, the buses were not active that late at night, and even if he did commit the crime, he would have been slowed down by the gallon of gasoline. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the defendant is not the only liable suspect for Carly Walsh's death. Why is Todd Larkin not a liable suspect? 1, what was he doing in Lake City anyway? 2, how did he get to Lake City if his license was suspended for 6 months? And 3, why did he need gasoline in the first place? That's who you should be questioning, not wasting your time on Alex, who was innocent. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if the fire started at 10:55, according to Pope, and Buckley was arrested at 11:40, it'll make it impossible for Buckley to set the fire if he walked from the Union to Lincoln in time to set the fire. The defendant did say he had a neighbor's siren cell, but he was tired and wanted to rest. After probably resting for a few minutes, he probably went to go check it out, and that's when he was unfairly arrested. Alex Buckley testified that he was, and in fact still is, innocent. Kennedy Felder said that Alex Buckley does not and cannot fit the revenge arsonist profile, and he also stated that revenge arsonists are full of hatred, not that bright and leave a pattern, and Alex Buckley is none of that. Lastly, you also heard from Buckley's Gas and Go regional manager, Jordan Calvin, say that Alex was at work from 4:30 to about 10:40 p.m. and how he couldn't reach Lincoln in 15 minutes from Gas and Go. Alex Buckley is an innocent man who just wanted to go to Stanford to study chemistry. He didn't have that much hatred to kill Carly over an award. Sure, the Williamson is important, but there was no death involved with Alex. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I urge you to find the defendant not guilty. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, counsel. All right, State, do you have a rebuttal?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you have 3 minutes, I believe. All right, you have 2 minutes and 45 seconds. So. All right, you may proceed.
Judge, Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury and opposing counsel, the point of this trial was to prove if Alex Buckley was guilty or not. The point of the trial was not to shift the blame onto Todd Larkin, but that is what the defense is trying to do. The point of this trial was to see if Buckley did it or not if Todd did it. So why did the defense feel it was necessary to talk that much about Todd when he was not a viable suspect and the trial is not about him, it is about Alex Buckley? That's all, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. With that, closing arguments being finished, the jury will now begin their deliberations. I will give you very specific instructions. Apparently I have to read this out. All right, members of the jury, you have heard all of the testimony concerning this case. It is now up to you to determine the facts. You and you alone are the judges of the fact. Once you decide what facts the evidence prove, you may then apply the law as I give it to you and the facts that you turn them. The defendant is believed to be innocent of these charges. This presumption remains with the defendant throughout every single stage of trial and is not overcome unless you are convinced, beyond a reasonable doubt, that the defendant is guilty. The defendant is not required to prove his innocence. A reasonable doubt is doubt founded upon reason. Proof beyond a reasonable doubt requires such proof that would convince you to rely upon a fact enough to make an important decision in your own business or personal affairs. However, if you are not satisfied with the defendant's guilt to that extent, then reasonable doubt exists and the defendant must be found not guilty. Do the instructions as I've read them just make sense?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
Yes, Your Honor.
The front three of you, I want you to pick up your chairs, swing them around. Well, actually, no, sorry. Remain sitting. Cove, do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Not guilty. John?
Not guilty.
Cameron?
Not guilty.
Max?
Not guilty.
Sarah?
Not guilty.
Grace?
Not guilty.
Mr. Buckley, you're free to go. All right. Great timing. Wonderful job. Give yourselves a round of applause. That was awesome. All right. Okay.
How do you feel?
Yeah.
Like
First one out of there? Yeah. Got our feet wet?
A burden has been lifted.
Yeah. Right? Feel that heavy weight come off your shoulders? Yeah, it's over, right?
See? Was it so scary?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, give yourselves a round of applause. That was awesome.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, just because you were found not guilty doesn't mean you win the mock trial case. I'm not gonna tell you who won or lost. So don't worry about that, but I mean, honestly, like, y'all did phenomenal. Phenomenal. Be really proud of yourself. Alright, I have a couple of notes that I would like to share with you all. I can do this one of two ways. I'm sure Abigail has some notes as well. I'm gonna keep my notes pretty general. Okay, so the use of rhetoric across the board with speeches was excellent. I mean, it was absolutely excellent. The use of imagery, the use of timing, the use of like the legal section of what the witnesses were gonna say, and incorporating that into a story, phenomenal work. That being said, on direct and cross examinations, be a little bit aware of where you're standing in the courtroom. I saw all examinations happen right in front of the prosecution bench. Should that be where all examinations happen? No. Where should we do directs?
Between the prosecution and defense.
Directs?
Oh, directs, yeah.
Direct should happen around Adrian.
Crossing.
Where should crosses happen?
In the middle of the two, yeah.
Yeah, that could work. Maybe in front of the defense bench, right? You want the witness to have to break their necks, turn around, look at you, then look at the jury, look at you, then look at the jury, right?
Wait, where?
Like in front of the defense bench. Yeah. There were a couple of missed objections. Yeah, some, okay. Katie, you missed a 403 objection on the science project.
Oh, sure.
That happened like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I would have entertained an argument there. But the 402 objection on motive doesn't really make sense.
I look back on motive.
Yeah. So just be like cognizant of like what you choose to object to, why you're objecting.
I think I was trying to be a bit too cognizant, and
Yeah.
then that's kind of what happened.
As far as voices in the courtroom go, I know we had to overcome some of the issues with the air conditioner. We had a car alarm go off. People are shuffling, sniffling, moving, right? All of those things shouldn't matter. So your voice should be loud enough to project, but not so loud that you're yelling at me. Don't yell at me, I didn't do anything wrong. Don't yell at the jury, they didn't do anything wrong.
Just don't yell.
Yeah, don't yell. But also like speak up. So it's gonna be like finding this weird balance of speaking up, but also like not yelling. Okay. Burke. Okay. Prosecution. You can object to 404B on the DUI on Larkin. That's improper character evidence. Yeah. I think I would have entertained an argument on that. Or actually, I would have entertained an argument on 404B there. So defense, if you plan on presenting that evidence, be sure that you have an argument towards it.
Yes.
Yes, Val.
So, what do we have to say for here? Could we just
Say character evidence.
Character
Yeah.
evidence,
So it's just 404.
All right. Okay. So there was this interaction when Felder was on the bench. Kayla was on, or not the bench, the witness stand. The objection, I was kind of confused with why we were objecting to 704. Can anyone remind me what happened there? Yeah.
Like Kayla was on the bench and she was just talking about like the traits of revenge arsonists.
Yeah.
And how Paul Larkin fit them.
So that's allowed. That's okay. You're allowed to talk about some of the profiles that exist with people that could have committed the crime. What you're not allowed to do is say this defendant had the specific mindset to commit this crime.
Yeah, because earlier Kayla had said Todd Larkin did it. And then like I was literally looking at them like, call 704.
Yeah.
Even though she is one of my witnesses, I'm like, why are they not calling 704? I would call 704 to that because she just made a statement on the ultimate issue. So I believe that they were late to that and just like realized it and then called it out.
I was trying to like organize myself and trying to like understand if I was doing it right.
Yeah.
That's why I did that.
So like, that's what the sticky notes are for. If you see an objection made, write the sticky note, pass it over to your friend. If you see an objection that should be made, try and object at least one time during every examination. So if your witness is on the stand and being crossed, object to their cross. If your witness is, or if you're about to cross the witness and they're on direct, object. I should hear one objection at least. That's a good rule of thumb. Don't object just to object. I mean, if there's really nothing objectionable, then like don't. But try and object at least once during every examination.
I mean, I'm just glad I got one objection sustained.
Yeah, it's very rare that judges sustain objections.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because the rules of evidence are just like,
Weird.
they have high bars. Adrian, okay. 802, okay, let's back up a moment. Defense, were you trying to imply that Alex Buckley was bullied by Carly Walsh?
A little bit.
Okay.
Alex,
Any words that they say from Carly Walsh, that's 802.
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure we do that. Also 802 on the emails.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of the statements made by Aiden Rodriguez, that's 802. Also, Nami, 404 on Buckley's character. Yeah, all of that is improper character evidence. They can't provide character evidence like that.
Yeah.
Well, actually, they can, but, you know,
Yeah.
make the objection.
It's good to make the objection, even if you know, like, it's, like, can I use hearsay as an example? Even if you know it falls, the hearsay falls over 803, it's still good to, like, object to hearsay.
Yeah.
Because, like, so you're quiet.
I didn't hear any tendering of the expert witness, or I heard the qualifications. I never heard anyone say, Your Honor, this time we established this person as an expert in this field.
I had no idea we had to do that.
Yeah, we went over that.
I must have forgot.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine, like, it's the first trial. Yeah, and since, like, no one did it, it's probably my fault for not going over it, you know. Oh, Fish, you don't have to agree to burrito questions.
Huh?
You don't have to agree to burrito questions.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you remember the burrito question that Katie was asking you about, like, you not being at the scene of the crime? And,
Yeah.
yeah. You didn't have to agree to that, man. You're the chief of your police department. You trust your guys. Yeah. Okay. And now going into some stuff about the closings, which were amazing. Adrian, you put a theme flip in there. My man, that was awesome. The theme was really good. I like that it was weaved in throughout your case in chief, and a little bit of your crosses, with there being Alex Buckley dealing with cards. It got a little bit overused whenever you said, like, Alex Buckley overdealt the card. I don't know what that means. But like, it was a great closing, man. Ben, your words that you use to repeat are still ringing in my head. When you went over what the state used as evidence and you said means nothing, hey, here's all of this evidence. It means nothing. That was awesome, man. Really, really good work. Also, this is just an issue that I have with the case. Gas cans aren't heavy. They're not. Yeah, it's like carrying around a gallon of milk. Like,
I actually
they're not
carried
heavy.
a gas can. It was pretty heavy.
They're not heavy, chief.
See if you go to Autotons.
Yeah. Gas cans aren't heavy, chief. And also in closings, great job tying in all of the stuff that happened during a trial. Just make sure that it actually happened during a trial. Other than that, I have nothing else. Abigail's going to talk to you for a little bit, and then we'll be done.
Yes, I'm going to try not to repeat too many things Shiva said. Very good job. Super job on your first trial. I hope you're feeling a little more confident now that you know what's going to happen. It's not looming over you. Okay. I would say, generally, everyone did really good in the pre-trial proceedings. That you're very professional. You spoke up, enunciated